What's up, my friend? Welcome back to a brand new video, and it's here. It's finally here. Pacific Strings is finally here. Say that out loud to yourself. I mean, it's true. It's here. Anyway, this video is a complete overview of the Pacific Strings Symphonic Library from Performance Samples, created by Jasper Blunk and his team. I don't know how large the team is, but this has been a long-awaited library for sure. And I think ever since it was announced, a while ago, people have been super excited for this library. Jasper has very generously kept us updated on the details while he was progressing through this library. He's also given us some free samples to try. So it's been a long-awaited library for sure. And I definitely want to just go through, play all these patches for you, show you what this library comes with, and then afterwards you can decide if it's something you want to check out for yourself. At the time of this recording, as far as I'm aware, Jasper is offering a loyalty intro price of $249 for people who already own specific libraries from Performance Samples, I'm pretty sure. And then I believe the regular intro price will be $399, and then the full price will be $599. I'm pretty sure that's how the price structure works. And let's just dive on in. So I've basically created a separate track for the four different sections. So if you can see here, we'll take a look here. This is what it looks like when you open up the Pacific Library. We have violins, violas, cellos, and basses, 16, 12, 10, and 8. And then we also have some bonus content here containing a 3 violins overlay patch, very similar to Vista. We have a light full strings patches folder as well, containing all the standard articulations, but with the entire ensemble mapped across the keyboard. We have some noise floor wave files, which is really cool, and then a solo harp as well. So without further ado, let me just dive into the violins first. We'll go through every single patch. We're going to start with the 16 violins legato and go all the way through. And if at any point you want to check out my full sample library recommendation list, I want to recommend my sample library buyer's guide. It's an absolutely free guide that contains all my personal recommendations that I use on a regular basis. That contains not just strings, but also brass, woodwinds, percussion, piano libraries, jazz libraries, ethnic libraries, all of that sort of stuff. And I've also included the prices and the utility for them as well, so you know what I personally recommend. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to put this library in there too, of course. So without further ado, let's kind of jump on in and see what Pacific is all about. Let's start with the 60 violins legato here. All right, that's a quick look at the legato mode. So this library really does remind me of Vista in many, many ways. The sound, the performance, the way everything is kind of responding to my fingers, it really has that traditional Performance Samples feel to me. What's also really cool is that the legato transitions themselves are similar in a way to Vista, where they're quite accentuated, so you really hear the slide between those notes. And so if you don't like that, that more exaggerated style of legato, then you might want to consider layering this with another library like CSS or Berlin Strings or something that has maybe a slightly shorter transition, but overall it has really good blending capabilities. I'm assuming similar to Vista, that I really enjoy as well. One other thing to note here is that we have the legato mode, which is activated by default, but they also have the sustain mode. So if you click that button, now it turns to polyphonic. So of course, playing polyphonically is very useful if you want to play more of an ensemble style patch. You can certainly do that. But for most purposes, I think you're probably going to use the legato mode there. And then they have some other controls here. Still a relatively simple interface. We have the close mics and the AB. Let's have a quick listen to what the close mics sound like on their own. Okay, and let's have a listen to the AB. Yeah, so if I were to create my own kind of mix here, I think I would go with the bulk of my sound coming from the AB mics, and then adding in a little bit of the close for that definition. But the default settings it comes with is pretty good, like a good balance of detail with the room signal there in the background as well. Okay, I'm going to skip the effects patches here for a second. Let's hear the other articulations first. So we're going to move on to the marcatos, go all the way down here, and then we'll go back up to the effects clusters. So here are the marcatos. And one thing to note here about those marcatos is that they are infinitely looped, I believe. So I tried holding them for quite a while. They kept on going. So the main thing about this is that you're going to get a stronger attack at the very beginning of the note that has that kind of marked feeling. But in terms of the actual length, it's just going to loop until you release your fingers. Let's move on to the pizzicato. Gorgeous sound. Let's move on to the sordino sustains. So classic, so nice. I love it. Let's move on to the spiccatos. So notice here, instead of having staccato or staccatissimo, we have just spiccato, which is probably going to serve most of your purposes when it comes to short notes for the strings in general. So. Okay, then we have tremolos. And then we have trills as well. There we go. And I'm also going to load in the whisper sustains here. So let's see, tremolos, violin. Let's see if I can find that. Here we go. This should be it. Whisper sustains right there. Let's have a listen. Gorgeous sound. It's even wispier than the Sordino sustains. Sordino sustains are still light and buttery, but the whisper sustains really have that extra bit of air to them, which I think is really gorgeous. So that's a quick look at the violins. And yeah, overall, very comprehensive set of dynamics, absolutely. Like you get a really quiet layer all the way up to a searing high, triple fortissimo layer, let's say. And I believe on the sales page, it mentions 14 different dynamic layers for specific articulations, which is pretty insane. So pretty cool to look at. All right, finally for the violins, let's take a look at some of these effects here. So. So cool. And those are the risers. Let's hear a few of the shorts as well. All right, so now let's move on to the violas and we'll see how these sound. So again, I'm going to start with the legato. We're going to work our way down to the standard articulations, and then we're going to end with the clusters as well. So let's start with the legato here for the violas. All right, and there we go. That's the violas. And one quick thing I want to mention is that for these shorts, the spiccatos in general, you're going to hear a little bit of bleed going into the spiccato sample. So there's a little bit of a like going into the actual chord itself, right? And I believe this is because Jasper sampled like full note repetition phrases and things like that. So he basically extracted single notes out of those performance phrases. So naturally, there's a little bit of signal coming into that selected note that is being performed, right? So when it's performed within a context of a phrase, it's meant for a quicker playing, and so naturally you're going to get a bit of that bleed in there. So just something to be aware of there. But yeah, very, very consistent. Love those articulations. Very standard and similar to the violins. Let's move on now to the cellos. And let's have a listen to what this sounds like. So here we go. Okay, and there are the cellos. So one quick thing to note here is that when you press down the pedal, the sustain pedal for the sustain legatos, you're going to activate the rebowing sample. So if you do want to rebow, just make sure you depress the sustain pedal and then repeat the same note. It's going to trigger that rebow. Most libraries should have rebowing functions, and Specific is no exception. One other thing I want to mention here is that the Mercado patches are really useful because in addition to having that really big attack at the very beginning and holding that note for longer, you can also play it super short and pretend it's a staccato patch as well. So it's kind of like a sustain patch, an accented sustain patch, and a staccato patch all in one, which is really, really nice. So dual purpose there, or actually triple purpose, right? You can use it for staccatos or like spiccatos. You can use it for regular mercados, or you could have a really accented sustain and then hold that note for as long as you want to. So really, really nice. And then let's move on to the double basses, and then we'll take a look at the bonuses. So here is the legato for the basses, and I believe the basses have slightly fewer articulations here. So sustains, mercados, pizzicatos, sordino sustains, spiccatos, tremolos, but no trills and no whisper sustains as far as I can see. And then we have the clusters there as well. So let's have a quick listen to the basses legato. All right, that is the full string orchestra there. So yeah, the double basses definitely have the most room tone in there, and especially the low end buildup is especially evident in those double basses. So most likely you're going to need to use some sort of high pass filter to get rid of those low sub frequencies, or else you might have a really muddy low end there, especially if you use multiple instances of the double basses. So just be aware of that. Okay, and last but not least, let's check out the bonus patches. And this library comes with quite a few of them. Again, we have, let's just take a look here. So bonus content, we have the 3 violins overlay patch, very similar to Vista. We also have the light full strings patches, which is basically all the standard articulations, including the sordino sustains and the whisper sustains, but again, mapped across the entire keyboard. And then we have the noise floor, wave files, and then the solo harp with the normal plucks and the harmonic plucks. So let me go through those first, and then I'll show you the noise floor at the very end there. So let's have a quick listen to the violins overlay. Make sure I switch the track. So you can tell that it's really meant as a layering patch because it has a lot of detail. The legato transitions are very evident there. So you definitely want to blend it in with the creamy nature of maybe the fuller ensemble strings, or maybe even another library if you want some detail there and you want that gel. I think this patch does that very, very well. Let's move on to the full strings patches. So here we're going to have marcatos first, then pizzicatos, sordino sustains, and so on and so forth. I'm going to turn the marcato volume down just a little bit. and the spiccatos as well, because those come out quite strong. So let's have a listen. Okay, then we have the pizzicatos. Spiccatos. Sorry, these are the sordino sustains, my mistake. Now we have the spiccatos. Then we have regular sustains. Really huge dynamic range. Like, you know the dynamic range is big when you can barely hear the samples at the very bottom of the mod wheel, and when you have to turn the volume down, or you can't go all the way to the very top with the volume. So yeah, lots of dynamics for sure. Then we have the tremolos. And the trills. Yeah, you can get some pretty eerie effects there. Okay, then we have the whisper sustains. There we go. And finally, let's hear the harp. So here is the normal plucks for the harp, and then we'll hear the harmonic pluck as well. Okay, I forgot the rest of the piece there, but yeah. So again, a very, very reverberant harp as well. You do get that detail on the plucks for sure, but I think most of the signal is coming from the hall. So this, to me, this harp is meant to be more blended into the background for sure. And then here's the harmonic sustains as well to finish things off. Gorgeous. All right, that is specific. Let me quickly show you the noise patches as well. So here's the A/B, here's the close. Make sure to turn up your volume actually, because it's actually very, very hard to hear unless you turn your volume up all the way. So let me just play this for you. That was the A/B. Okay, now here's the close mics. Okay, now turn your volume all the way back down because I'm going to talk again in my normal voice. All right, so those were the room tones, and for full transparency there, I couldn't actually hear the room tone myself. I had to, like, prior to recording this, I had to turn the volume up all the way up to hear them. But yeah, again, it's just really nice to have a room sound that you can pull in there into your arrangement to really just gel the whole thing together, give it that sense of being in a real concert hall. Really, really nice. So final thoughts. I think this is going to be a great all-arounded string library, because there's that traditional programming that Jasper is really known for. There's this kind of playability and a kind of responsiveness in the samples that really feels good under the fingers, and I can't really explain it. If you don't have any experience with performance samples libraries, then you won't really know what I mean unless you try for yourself. But Jasper is very good at giving free samples and taster patches for you to try out. So if you kind of like how that feels, you kind of get a sense of what the full library is going to be like. So yeah, the fact that we have these standard articulations, some of them can serve multiple purposes in one, and having that, like, this entire package in one is really, really cool. I think the main selling point of this library is, well, there's the room, right? So if you want that big kind of symphonic sound, you're going to get that here in this library. And if you also want Jasper's programming style, you're also going to get that here, especially with the legato, the way the transitions sound, the way everything connects together in a really musical way. Jasper's very well known for the motto, not for purists, or I should say performance samples is known for that sort of motto, right? So you're not going to get the most clean, pristine sound. Rather, you're going to get a performance that's much more intense and passionate, and it's all about the musicality of the samples rather than going for the most sterile, clean sort of performance approach available, And I personally like this sort of approach more, because I want to play samples that sound lively and sound human right out of the box, compared to samples that require a lot of tweaking and require a lot of work in general. So that's just my personal approach, but that's an overview of all of the patches that come with Pacific. And yeah, I'm just so excited this is finally out there, and I hope you are as well after hearing this library. So if you've gone all the way through this library with me so far, if you've stuck all the way to the end, I would love for you to share with me your favorite section that you've heard, your favorite patch specifically. Let me know in the comments below which patch you're the most excited about picking up. And especially if you're if you're a Performance Samples customer already, then you most likely have access to the loyalty discount as well, to pick it up at the intro price. So Jasper told me he wants to make this library as accessible as possible to composers in general. So definitely check it out if you're interested in a full symphonic strings library. That being said, there's more sections to come: the woodwinds, the brass, and the percussion. He's still working on those right now, as in addition to the solo strings as well, which should be coming out early 2023. But that's it. So again, if you're interested in checking out the rest of my recommendations for the strings, woodwinds, brass, percussion, and other sections in addition to that, definitely check out the Sample Library Buyer's Guide in the description box below. It's the first link there, and it's completely free. I want to give it to you as a gift for checking out this video today, and I'm most likely going to be adding this library to the string section as well as part of my recommendation. So I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video, and take care. Bye-bye.